We have an unfortunate habit of sticking labels on things. Any event that happens in our head, we immediately decide this is good or this is bad. It does a tremendous amount of damage to us. Let me tell you a story. There was a man and his son, and they lived in a beautiful valley, and they were dirt poor. And they were very happy, though, but they were dirt poor. And the man got sick and tired of being dirt poor. He decided he was going to become rich. And the way he was going to become rich was by breeding horses. So he bought a stallion, didn't have money to buy a stallion, borrowed very heavily from the neighbors. And the very night he got the stallion, it kicked the top bar loose from the paddock where he housed it and ran away. And the neighbors came around commiserating. You thought you were going to become a rich man, but your stallion has run away, and you still owe us money. You are screwed. And he shrugged his shoulder and said, good thing, bad thing, who knows? That stallion fell in with a group of wild horses, and they were close to where the man lived, and he was able to lure them into the paddock, which he had repaired, so escape was no longer possible. So now he had the stallion back, plus a dozen wild horses, which by the standards of that village made him a wealthy man. And the neighbors came around saying, we thought that you were destitute, but fortune has smiled upon you. How fortunate you are. And the man shrugged his shoulder and said, good thing, bad thing, who knows? The man and his son started to break the horses so they could sell them on the market. One of the horses threw the man's son and stomped on his leg. It broke and healed crooked. And the neighbors came around. He was such a fine young lad, and now he'll never be able to find a girl to marry him. How terrible. And the man shrugged his shoulder and said, good thing, bad thing, who knows? The king declared war on a neighboring country, and press gangs moved through the villages, rounding up all the able-bodied young men. But they spared this man's son because he had a crooked leg. And the neighbors had tears in their eyes as they came around and said, oh, we don't know if we'll ever see our sons alive again, but you still have your son. How fortunate you are. And he shrugged his shoulder and said, good thing, bad thing, who knows? And it goes on like that forever. And there's a lesson in that. Can you think of anything that happened in your life that at the time it happened, you thought this is terrible? But you can now look back upon it and say, gee, that was actually pretty good. So if something happened to you in the past that at the time it happened, you thought was terrible, but you can now look back and say it was actually pretty good, why are you in a hurry to label anything that happens now bad? Is there any possible way in which in X years it could turn out to be pretty good? Just pausing to consider that question will take you to a different emotional domain. And if you then take the next step and say, is there anything I can do to make that happen? You move into a realm of possibility, and courses of action will open up to you that you never would have considered before.